Did you know that people love to read? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire totaled 350,000 buyers 1 minute before sales opened on Amazon.com. People love to read. As I have used books and audiobooks to study, my retention for the materials are increased if I read and mark the things that apply to me. As I have studied at my university, I have noticed that my grades are better for the classes that I read in. Reading and marking up books is more effective than simply listening to an audiobook. Marking books helps gain retention and increase knowledge. Let's begin with the audiobook. There are some benefits in using audiobooks. Audiobooks can be listened to on the go. They can be stored in any mobile device or computer, and they can be listened to while you're running, while you're driving to the store, or wherever you'd like. Some people are better listeners than they are readers. So naturally, the people that are better listeners, will be able to learn more through listening to an audiobook. I am not that case. I'm a better learner when I look at things and can see things visually. But that is not the case for many people. So audiobooks for those people would be better. You can also change the voice of the reader to male or female, or sometimes you can even have the option to give it a European accent, which is a nice touch. But why should you use a normal text? A normal text can be easily read and then reread. It's easy to look at a paragraph and then reread that paragraph, but it's a little bit more difficult to listen to something and then have to rewind to the point that you want to begin at again. It's much easier just to look at where you want to start. Another advantage of reading a text is a book can be marked. You can read a book, and you can read textbooks, especially in textbooks. There's so much fluff to them, and in the paragraph, in a whole big paragraph, there might only be one sentence that is relevant to you or your upcoming exam. And it is so nice to be able to mark that one sentence and then refer back to it without having to sift through all the fluff and all the unnecessary facts. Also, books can be stored and your books can be read by others. It's like a journal. So once you mark a book or read a book, you can then store it and then refer back to it later. Or you can also mark a book and then return it to the seller or give it to somebody else, and they can benefit from the things that you mark in it because you have marked the important parts of that book. So text can be used and beneficial to other people where audiobooks cannot. Audiobooks can only be passed digitally to other people and listened to, but they still have to sift through all the fluff and all the important things in it. I would like to discuss a little bit more in depth of marking a book and why it is so important, and why can it be beneficial to those of us who read text. Marking a book is like keeping your thoughts on a page. You're able to have text and have all the information and facts in front of you. Then you can mark the things that are relevant and important to you and write your thoughts or notes in the margins or space around that paragraph. It is so nice to be able to refer to something, read something first, write down your thoughts and impressions about it, and then refer back to it later. Because sometimes you'll forget about your initial thoughts or impressions that you had on it. But it's so nice to be able to read something, mark it, and then refer back to it later. It's like having a journal in a textbook. It also helps you remember the important facts, ideas of the text. When you mark something, you have to read it, and then you go back over it and reread it as you mark it. You have to consciously understand what is going on when you mark books. When you read with the intent of marking a book, you are looking for important facts or things that stick out to you that would be beneficial to you. As you do that, your mind is more engaged in the text and you're able to understand the things better that you are trying to understand in order to prepare you for whatever it may be. Also, as you are marking a text, you read something, you like it because you've thought about it. Then you go back and mark it again, and you're usually thinking about what that is while you're marking it. And that is a big help when you're trying to understand and read while you're reading a text. Marking a page will help you retain that information because you review it as you mark it. In conclusion, I want to reiterate how effective reading is rather than listening. For those people that are visual learners, reading is the way to go. Because if you use different colors or other things, it helps your brain be more engaged in what you are reading rather than simply listening, because the mind will drift so easily as you're listening to something. As you read and mark your books, your understanding of the material will go up and your knowledge will increase. Benjamin Franklin, when he sat in the making of our Constitution, had a sun, sat in a chair, and that had a sun engraved in it. And he said that it was a rising sun because he thought that this nation would be a great and prominent future. We understand that the Constitution was a written text. That way people could read it and reread it and refer to it easily. And if they had a copy of it, they could even mark it.